It's your homegirl, Jenny Leigh with BRA Realty. Welcome to another episode of Good to Know in Chester County, your inside scoop on local businesses that make Chester County feel like home. Today, I am joined by award-winning boudoir photographer, John Thompson, whose work empowers people to see themselves in a whole new light. Hey, John. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I am very happy to have you here, and I'm excited for you to share with everybody more about your work. But just getting started, why don't you give a little summary of all of the work that you do?
So I am a boudoir photographer, which a lot of people don't really know what that is. So in the traditional sense, if you want to get all fancy and use the French pronunciation, it's boudoir. But, I use boudoir because I don't say croissant for croissant. So, that's just me. But what boudoir photography is it's a form of intimate portraiture. And a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, my God, you're doing something dirty and wrong. But it's not. It's so much beyond that.
Yeah.
Traditionally a boudoir is a woman's dressing area or bedroom. So it's a very, kind of, it's an intimate form of photography. But there's no real expectations that I put on my clients, right?
Yeah.
Most of my clients are moms from 30 to 50 who have had a couple kids. Their bodies have changed. They've been busy in life.
Yep.
And I don't really dictate what you do and don't wear, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, boudoir is done in lingerie, but
Yeah.
I've had clients wear oversized T-shirts. I've had clients wear jeans and a cami.
Wow.
It's very much the work I do is about showing women how beautiful they are and letting them see themselves in a light that they may have never seen themselves in or haven't seen themselves in years.
Yeah.
Especially for the client base that I have for what I charge, I'm not getting 19-year-old girls coming in. I'm getting business women. I'm getting moms and people who've experienced life. And so a lot of times they've lost connection with themselves. They've lost connection with how beautiful they felt when they were younger, or they look at a picture of themselves 20 years ago and judge themselves and go, oh, I don't look like that anymore.
Nobody does that.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so I get to show people through art how beautiful they are. And I've been working on kind of a tagline, and it's impacting lives through art, because that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm
Not
getting,
kind of.
Yeah. I mean,
You
that is
are.
what I'm doing. And I get to watch transformations with people, and it's really incredible, honestly.
So when I first met you, I was like, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. And then I got to know you a little more. And when you really dove into your business, I think that what you said right there is the true beauty behind it. And I think a lot of people are probably like me, oh, that could be fun, but they don't really realize the impact once it's done, once you do that for yourself, the impact it has on you as a person. Before we dive into all of that, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, how did you get started? Why did you get started? Things like that.
Okay. So I started photography in some capacity back in high school, right?
Oh, wow.
I took one of my grandfather's old film cameras and just started playing with it. Yeah. He knew I took it, but it was just taking pictures of anything and everything.
Yeah.
Like I've always enjoyed art. I drew as a kid and whatever else. And then when I was in college, I was my college campus's photography assistant for a couple of years. So I helped with staff portraits, ad campaigns. I started learning how to photo edit a little bit there.
Okay.
And it was pretty funny because at first, they didn't really want to let the new kid that they didn't really know take a bunch of expensive photo equipment. And then after 6 months, they realized I treated their equipment better than they did. And they just let me wander around the campus with all kinds of stuff. During college, I shot a wedding. I hated it. I said I would never, ever do it again. It just was not my jam. And then actually after college, total 180, and I was in law enforcement for almost a decade back home.
Wow.
And funny enough, pretty much always knew I was either going to end up in the military or go to law enforcement.
Okay.
When I was 8 years old, I saw a fighter jet break the sound barrier on TV and went, I want to do that.
Okay.
My vision had other plans.
Yeah.
So I actually was supposed to go to the Marine Corps at one point, and they lost my application for officer school 2 weeks before I was supposed to go to Quantico. So that was pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I've had an interesting life of ups and downs, but it's all paved the way to who I am
Exactly.
today.
I was just going to say, if they didn't lose that, would you be here right now?
Would I be here now, right?
Yeah.
So I did law enforcement for 8.5 years back home in Georgia.
Okay.
And during that time, I really just shot wildlife. I didn't have time to do anything else.
Yeah.
And I shot one more wedding, even though I said I wouldn't. My stepsister's wedding photographer backed out about 3 weeks before her wedding, and my mom called me freaking out.
Oh my goodness.
I shot that. Still hated it. I'm not a wedding photographer. It's not my jam. And then how I kind of ended up here and ended up now. So my wife is from here. She lives in this area, and I was in Georgia. She was finalizing a divorce, and I was starting a divorce, and we just kind of met online. It wasn't a dating site. It was like a BS chat room, and we became friends. And we just talked, and we were kind of support for each other and just going through everything, talking about life. And, you know, as things continued over time, like, you know, and as my divorce got finalized and everything else, we saw that friendship kind of transform into something romantic. And so she came down to see me a couple times in Georgia, and I had a lot of decisions to make in life. She had 4 kids. I had no kids. I didn't want kids. I didn't like kids. I didn't care about kids. I was very much the person that, like, if you handed me a baby, I was like, this thing is cool for a couple seconds, now please take it back. So I never saw myself as a parent. It was just not something I really wanted to do.
You were supposed to be in the Marines.
And like, you know, what I did in law enforcement, I had a niche. I was on a DUI task force for the city of Atlanta, and then I left there and started a DUI unit for another department. And that's what I did. I was very, very good at what I did. I was an instructor. So I pretty much eat, slept, and breathed my job. I didn't have free time. Right? So like children was just not something I really saw because I was wrapped up in everything else.
Exactly.
And so as Victoria and I talked more and more, and my wife's name's Victoria, by the way, we talked a lot, right? Because we were reaching a point, we were becoming very close, but we had some decisions to make. Do I want to be a part of someone that's got multiple children, right? Because she's not going to move down there, and she's not leaving her kids. So I took a week off work. I drove up here and I met them, and the kids changed everything I thought was important about my life. They took my world and flipped it on its head. Pretty much from that moment, that's what I knew I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a part of their life. And so I started flying up here every 3 weeks for about 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
And this was back like COVID era. So like a round trip flight from Atlanta to Philly was only like $90. It was dirt cheap. But I would fly up on like a Monday or Tuesday afternoon, and I would stay until Thursday night or Friday morning, go home, and then work my weekend shift. You know, hunting drunk people basically all weekend. But the court system was shut down. So I actually had free time during the week to come and build that relationship. So during that time, my wife and I talked a lot about my career and what I was doing. And I explained a lot of what being in law enforcement was, and how I may miss birthdays, I may miss holidays, I may never come home, period. You know, at the time, the kids were from 5 to 13, and there are 4 of them. So they were all very young. And so as we continued talking, you know, I'd originally thought about transferring my certification up here, but we reached the point of going, this job would not be conducive to a young family. You know, most of the cops that I've known in my life, myself included, have been divorced at least once. A lot of times the family life is not great because the job puts itself, and you end up putting the job before everything else. It's just kind of their expectation of you. So I didn't want to put that burden on anyone else. And so I decided when I was ready to make the move up here, I walked away from my career. I walked away from everything I knew and what I was good at, and packed up a 24-foot U-Haul truck and moved 750 miles and ended up in Chester County in Glenmore, Pennsylvania, little itty bitty Glenmore. And
which is one of my favorite towns, by the way.
It's beautiful. I love it. You blink and it's gone, but it's
so charming.
It's a beautiful little spot.
Okay. Great backstory.
Yep.
So my next question is, did you already have a decision of your next career?
I did not.
So you literally came here. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
So you were like, these are my people, and I'm going to stop everything in my life, make a huge move, and I'll figure it out.
And I'm not generally a risky person. I like to calculate everything. I like to plan everything. I like things laid out. But I've also, some of the best things in your life and some of the best things in my life have come after taking a big risk, right? And so I was like, you know what? It's time. Let's do it. And so I took the risk.
Right.
Yep. And so I moved here, got here at, you know, and luckily we were kind of in a position where I could take a little bit of time to figure some stuff out. Like I couldn't, you know, be without a job for like years on end, but it just, things fell in place between, you know, vacation time that I never took that paid out when I left, and some other things. I had a little bit of a cushion to try to figure things out. And so I started kicking around different ideas. I've wanted to start a business since I was a teenager. My best friend and I used to in high school sit and talk about starting a business. His dad
Wow.
was a business owner. So
Okay.
like it was just something that had always been in the back of my mind. I just never knew what I wanted to do. And when I first got here, I'd actually thought about opening a driving school to teach teenagers how to drive. So that was one idea I kicked around. And then my wife was actually the one, my now wife, we weren't, married at the time,
Sure.
but she was the one who suggested I go back towards photography. We have some images on our walls at the house of wildlife that I took in Yellowstone when we were out there about 2 or 3 months before I moved up here.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, that sounds like, I could be fun, right? And initially, honestly, I thought I was going to do headshots in sports. I had no interest in being a wedding photographer, as I've already said. I cuss way too much to be a family photographer. I'd end up making grandma and little Timmy upset. So I was like, that's probably out. So I really thought I was going to do headshots in sports. I thought that's what it was going to be. And I was like, all right, let's see. And then my wife was actually the one who suggested I look into Boudoir.
Yeah.
And it was really neat having that support. And it was really neat having my wife be the one to be like, look, I think you should try this. And, I've always appreciated the body as art. I mean, the body has been art for thousands of years.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the first pieces of artwork's a little statue of a woman that was carved, and they found it in like caves. Like the human body has been art for centuries.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, okay, let's look into it, right?
Yeah.
So we called a couple of friends, and they agreed to let me try and just start experimenting. When you're new, you've got to figure stuff out and start learning. And as I started doing it, I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with how I made people feel. And as I've done it more and more, something really cool happened that came out of it. It became its own healing journey for myself.
Wow.
And
We did not talk about this before.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So, my previous career, I started my policing career with the city of Atlanta. So it's like policing Philadelphia. I saw a lot of carnage. I've lost coworkers. I've lost friends that have been killed in the line of duty and things like that. So I used to be a part of the worst moment of everybody's life. Nobody calls a cop to come hang out at the barbecue and watch the football game with them. They call you when their life is in crisis.
Yeah.
You are dealing with people at their absolute worst, and you're seeing the worst of humanity a lot of times.
Yeah.
And while you're in that job, you don't realize what it takes from you, right? You see something traumatic, you put it in its box, that box goes on the shelf in your brain, and you have to go on to the next call. You don't really get the time to deal with a lot of it, right? And so I never realized how much of my humanity that job had taken from me.
Yeah.
And so now to go from that to watching a client cry during an image reveal because they've never seen themselves that way, they've never felt that way before, or a week later I get a text message or an email that says, I feel like a better wife, I feel like a better mom, I feel like a more confident person. Like that has done so much to heal me as a human being, and I didn't know that I needed that. So it has really become an incredible journey, not only for my clients, but for myself. And a lot of my clients have become our friends. My wife is an integral part of my business as well. And so like my now best friend, his wife was a client of mine. And she was like, I think you and my husband would really get along really well.
That's awesome.
And, I didn't meet him for like another 6 months. And then now like he and I text all day long. Like he's my best friend. And so it's funny how doing this, and I've had naysayers and people will be like, oh my God, about finding out what I do. But I will fight tooth and nail for what I do because I get to see what it does for my clients and how it makes people feel.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
Couple things. I love that Victoria saw the passion in you to just suggest photography, bring it back into your life in general. Where her boudoir photography came into play, I'm not sure, but she saw something in you. You probably lit up, when you were in the middle of it with photography, and I think that's really cool. But I just think that, you specifically have to be very passionate about this. And I'm going to bring the taboo thing up that I want to dive into, if you're okay with it, is
Sure.
You're a guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're also a guy who used to be in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
You got two big things here for, I'm assuming the majority of your clientele is women, right?
Probably 99.99%.
That could be a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point for me having you on here is for people to really see who you are. Because once I met you, I just thought you were awesome. And I was like, I know I'd feel comfortable with him.
Appreciate
and
that.
You're not letting any of that stop you.
No.
Because a lot of people want to do something, a business, and they're like, I don't know, but this could be a red flag. But I don't know. And you just went for it. And you're doing very well. And I want you to share some of the amazing things you've accomplished. I think that's really important too.
Okay. So it definitely was a very slow start.
Yeah.
Being a man in boudoir is not easy.
Yeah.
I know a handful of other male boudoir photographers, and I always joke, everybody's met a creepy guy with a camera. We've all met him. We all know him. We've all seen him, right? And so I have to fight against that stigma, right? Yeah. And you have to overcome that. And it's not saying that every, and I've talked to women who will only work with a female boudoir photographer, and that's okay. I don't take offense to that.
Sure.
But I have done a lot to build comfort. I've done a lot to build safety, and I've done a lot to build security. Yeah. My wife is an integral part of my business. My wife is an esthetician and makeup artist by trade. She runs her own business as well, but she is my hair and makeup artist for every session. Yeah. She's also my assistant for every shoot. Yeah. And I have a lot of very specific things I do to start building trust. I don't do anything really via email. Like if you email me and say, hey, I'm interested in a session, it is mandatory for anyone who wants to work with me to do a consultation. And whether that's by video call or in person, I don't do anything over the phone. Yeah. I want to see people. I want people to see me, and I want to see them.
Reading people video or in person is so crucial, especially in something like this.
And it's intimate portraiture. It is an intimate moment, right? And it is not something that I take lightly. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, I'm not everybody's photographer and everybody's not my client, and if someone comes along and they don't want to work with a male photographer, that's okay. I'll recommend you out to some female photographers I know. I know a couple of great female boudoir photographers, and I have no problem referencing off business. Yeah. But we offer something very unique too. We build an entire day about somebody. Yeah. So it's not just like a 5 minute in and out or an hour in and out. Like it's a day about you. And so, from the moment someone books, you get direct email access to my wife to start planning outfits and wardrobe, but we also do a wardrobe try-on session. So we're doing things to have points of contact and to build comfort with our clients, because let's be honest, it's not every day you stand around in your underwear with two people you don't know that well. Yeah. So the more points of contact I have with my clients, the better. It just builds that trust and that relationship, right? Yeah. And I've had a lot of people after my initial consultation. My initial consultation was like 45 minutes. And I've had a lot of people by the end of it, they're like, I feel like I know you more, or I feel like, I feel more comfortable. Yeah. And that's the point, right? Yeah. I am who I am. I'm a very direct person. We were talking about this before this. I'm a very blunt person. Yeah. I cuss a fair amount. So I tell people I'm like, a photographer that cusses bothers you, I'm not your guy. But I'm authentically who I am. And I think so much about boudoir is authenticity and being authentic, myself and my clients. And, when people come and shoot with us, my wife's my assistant the whole day. We give each other so much hell. We give each other such a hard time. I fire her like 3 or 4 times a shoot. I threaten to make the dog the employee of the month. Like I'm going to hang Butter's picture on the wall. Oh my gosh. And it gets people to laugh. People joke and laugh and have fun. We put music on that you like. I make vanilla lattes for clients and bring them to them. Like it's just little touches to make you feel comfortable. And, when I can get someone laughing because my wife and I are bickering with each other, because she will intentionally do things during sessions just to annoy me. I love it. And she even admits it. She's like, I do it just because I know it gets on your nerves. Until I finally yell at her to get out of the shot. I'm like, will you get out of the picture? And it makes people laugh, and it builds that comfort. And that's what so much of this is building connection. And I feel like I've kind of sidebarred off topic, so re-ask me what you originally want to know, because I feel like I went down a rabbit hole.
No, you actually still, are nailing it. And it's all about comfort level with you being a guy. Yeah. And you're mostly shooting women in lingerie, right? So
lingerie and or nude.
So the comfort level, I think one thing you shared is really important, at least how I feel about things. With when you see someone being their true authentic self, you can sense it. Yeah. At least I feel like I can. And when I sense that in somebody else, I feel like it gives me the permission. I should already just, be there. But sometimes when you're in a little bit of a new environment, new situation, you you get a little bit walls up.
Yeah.
But when you see somebody else being their true, authentic self, and then you have an assistant and she's being that, I think it breaks that wall down a little bit. And like, okay,
Yeah.
I can be myself here too. They're being real. I'm going to be real.
Yep.
And so I think that's a huge, huge part. The other thing, you dabbled in it, but I do know a little bit more. You'll make them a latte. Like, this is not an hour shoot. This is a full day. And it's also just not a full day of like, let's just take some photos. It is a full day about that person.
Mm-hmm.
And Victoria, having her there with her experience in hair and makeup and all of that, I mean, it's a really nice package that you guys put together.
It's a whole production.
Yeah.
We do same day image reveals, so that's kind of why it's an all day affair. Like
Yeah.
after the session's over, we send you out for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then we do bring you back and do a same day reveal. I don't edit same day, so you're seeing
Sure.
pretty much raw images.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a whole production. You get to see all the best images. I put people's images up on a 60-inch TV on the wall and show you off like art. Your
Yeah.
art, you deserve to be displayed like art.
Yeah.
I don't think a laptop or a little iPad does it justice. I'm going to show you off.
That's cool.
And then we have product samples and everything there that people get to touch and handle and feel. I'm a very tactile person, so I want
Yeah.
to put my hands on everything.
Yeah.
So we have stuff for all of our clients to see. So
Yep.
it really is an experience on top of everything. And then I just kind of went back. I remembered one of the things you were touching on with the original question of how do I tackle that whole like being a guy in this space,
Yeah.
right? Well, part of that too is being serious about what I'm doing. And what I mean by that is I'm a member of the Professional Photographers of America, and I'm also a member of the Association of International Boudoir Photographers.
Mm-hmm.
So I pay for these memberships
Yeah.
to be a part of an organization. The Association of International Boudoir Photographers, AIBP, they host a training seminar retreat every November for a week. I've been the last 3 years since I learned about
Awesome.
them. I'll be going again this fall. I actually got named their 2024 Rising Star
Yes.
within the business. PPA, the Professional Photographers of America, they actually offer certifications. I just joined them not too long ago. So right now I've finished my certified professional photographers exams, but now I am waiting for the submission dates to enter in my technical images because they basically make you submit images and then they review them to make
Okay.
sure you have technical mastery of what you're doing.
Got it.
So I've started working towards that. I've started working towards their master photography certification. I've done private editing lessons with someone who has shot like commercial fashion, used to work for Playboy International, and now runs his own Photoshop retouching company.
Wow.
So I've done a couple of private lessons with him. I'm actually, March, will be doing another lesson with another commercial retoucher who he built a brand of commercial editing and retouching. He's very well known, speaks at huge conferences and
Okay.
stuff like that. So I'm very serious about what I do, whereas like a creepy guy with a camera is really not going to submit to a lot of these things. I submit images to international image competitions.
Yeah.
I've won bronze ratings on multiple images in
Yes.
the international image comp from MPI, and then PPA actually just had their international photographic competition, and I took a silver for a boudoir image there. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And the images that I submit have all been client photos. They're
Yeah.
not curated shots that I've built for competition. They're not hiring a model and a makeup team. I've shot
This
this
is
during
what
a set.
you do.
Yeah, this is with clients.
It's
that
not
I've shot
purpose
during-
to
Yeah,
win, which
trust me.
kind of in a way.
I'm a competitive person. I would love to win, but
Yeah.
it's being able to create competition-worthy images with everyday clients.
That's exactly where I was going with
Yeah,
that.
and that's what I love about it. Now, will I build probably some intentional competition shots? Yeah, I intend to do it this year because I'm starting to get into the competition side of
Yeah.
it because it's fun. And I don't do it for the accolades. I do it for the feedback from judges. I pay for the judges' feedback so that I can learn from that image to bring
Wow.
that back to my client. So for me, everything I'm doing is to gain more knowledge to provide a better experience to my client.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I feel is kind of a differentiator, right? Like
Huge.
I'm not just, oh, hey, I'm a guy with a camera, let's take some photos. It's
Yeah.
I'm intentionally trying to build a brand. I'm intentionally building a professional background to show that like I genuinely care about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is not just a hobby. This isn't just like, oh, hey,
I was
there's pretty
jokingly just
girls.
gonna-
Like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's, I've shot everybody. I've shot women from 20 to 65, I've shot
I
from
love that.
a size 2 to a size 22. I've had clients who have lost 200 pounds and come in and celebrate. I've had breast cancer survivors come in and celebrate, so it's everyone looks at Boudoir and they go, oh my God, I would love to do that when I lose 10 more pounds. Oh, I would love to do that, a couple days down the road, and then 10 years have passed.
Yeah.
And I joke all the time, how long have I been saying I need to lose 10 pounds for like the last decade, right? And one of the jokes in the industry, the 2 best times to book a boudoir shoot are now and 10 years ago. You're not getting any younger. I had a client this past fall that she was late 50s to early 60s, right in that ballpark. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But she had wanted to do a boudoir shoot for over a decade. And she just kept putting it off, kept putting it off, kept putting it off. And then she lost a couple of close family members in a short time span. And she woke up and went, what the hell am I waiting for? Why am I waiting? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And she came and she shot with us and loved it. And it's funny, like when you do your image reveal, a lot of times people are very animated, but every once in a while people are very quiet. She didn't say a word for like the first half of her image reveal. And
Gosh, that's a long time.
I was sitting there, I was like, I blew it. Oh my God, I blew it. And as an artist, you second guess yourself a lot. Even when you produce really nice work, you look at your work and pick it apart and go, what'd I do?
Yeah.
And then about halfway through her images, she stopped and she goes, I'm speechless. And I was like, all right, like the weight off his shoulders. But at the same time, it was so incredible to watch someone literally look at themselves and go, I'm speechless. And she got a lot of images and loved it. And it was such an incredible experience. So to have so many different clients and different age brackets. And, again, like I said, my average client's a mom. I'm not shooting models, right? Like I've had the luxury of shooting models a couple times in workshops, and it's great to work with a model. They know how to pose themselves.
Yeah.
But for me, my job is knowing how to pose, light, and photograph everyday people. And that's what's so much fun about it. I get so many clients, they see themselves and they're like, oh my God, that's me. And I'm like, yeah, that's what posing and lighting does.
Yeah.
I tell people, if you come shoot with me, you're going to be sore the next day. I don't believe in lazy posing.
Yeah, because you're moving around.
And we believe in dynamic posing. So we are making you work for your poses.
Oh my gosh. Do your stretches before you get there.
Oh, you get a whole, you get a prep guide. You get all kinds of stuff from me to prepare you for it. We send you an email telling you to hydrate, all kinds of stuff. Because again, we want you to have the best experience possible. And, for me, the technical mastery of it, a lot of people see I'm much darker and moodier with my style than a lot of people are. And
doesn't that,
I
sorry
feel
to
like
cut
it
you
kind of
off.
goes
I
with it.
kind of feel like that's.
But a lot of boudoir is very bright and airy. It's very white. It's very bright. So there's kind of two camps. There's the bright and airy camp, and there's the dark and moody camp. I'm much more the dark and moody camp.
I like your style. I think it just has a vibe to it.
It does.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes down to mastery of light. Right. That's why I use studio lighting. I don't typically use natural light like sunlight. I do for a little bit of stuff, but most of it's studio lighting like you would use in a commercial shoot, strobes and umbrellas and stuff. And it allows me to bend light to my will and shape people
exactly.
the way I want.
Yeah.
I tell clients all the time, my job with learning how to pose and light people, and I've spent a lot of money and time learning how to pose and light people so that I can minimize the things you don't like about yourself and maximize the things you do. We all have insecurities. I don't care if you're...
It's natural.
It's
human.
natural.
Yeah.
Human beings. I'm on camera right now, and one of my insecurities is on display, sitting right here. I have crooked lower teeth. Drives me nuts. Most people don't notice it. It's one of my insecurities.
Yeah.
But I live with it. It is what it is. But, I can remember being 18 years old and my high school girlfriend who was this big around was still insecure, right?
Yeah.
I've met women who have lost 150 pounds and they're insecure. We all have insecurities.
Yeah.
By coming to and doing a boudoir shoot, you get the chance to accept who you are, accept where you are in this position in life, and see that there's still beauty in that.
Yeah.
I always joke, 19-year-old me was stupid, right? I thought you had to be.
We all?
Yeah, I think we were all dumb. But I'm honest. I'm like, look, at 19, I thought you had to be a size 2 to be beautiful. I bought the BS from the magazines, right?
Yeah.
At 40 years old, or almost 40, I'll be 40 this year. I've come to learn there's beauty in every shape, size, and age.
Yeah.
And through art, I get to showcase that. And through art, I get to show people that, yeah, just because your body's changed doesn't mean you're any less beautiful. It doesn't mean you're any less worthy.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, and I've had single women, I've had brides. A lot of my clients are married. And, some of my married clients, it's funny, they've looked at their images and they go, now I see what my husband sees in me.
Oh.
And I'm like, I had one client, she's like, now I get why my husband like chases me around all the time, even though we've been married for 20 years. And I was like, yeah, you're beautiful, right? And like, that's kind of one of the cool things about being a male photographer. A lot of people love to use the term male gaze negatively, but I see things differently than a female photographer does. And that's not knocking female photographers. It's just men see things slightly different than women.
I didn't even think about that
Yeah. And
before.
so
That's true.
Yeah. We see things differently.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my goal is to never make my client look like an object. You know, do I have some like what we would jokingly call spicier poses? Yeah, because some people want that.
Yeah.
But my goal is to never make you look or feel like an object. It's to capture your beauty through form. And so I can create artwork with, you know, lines and angles and everything else that, you know, like one of my favorite things to photograph are art nudes. I think art nudes are beautiful. I don't know why Americans freak out about the body so much.
I know it is. So you go to Europe and it's like, what?
No one cares,
yeah.
right? I mean, there's nudes painted on the Sistine Chapel ceiling like that. That's what kind of makes me laugh when someone gets really upset with what I'm doing. I'm like, there are literally nudes painted on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
I can understand, and you know, and some people try to lump boudoir in with pornography and like erotica, and they're two different categories.
Oh, 100% separate.
So, but a lot of people don't understand the nuance, right? And so they try to lump it all together. But I'm like, it is very different.
Yeah.
But I do art nudes a lot of times, and I would say probably 95 to 98% of my clients try it.
Yeah.
And like, and because I tell them, I'm like, look, there's no expectation for me. I don't care if you do or don't do it, but it is a beautiful way to celebrate yourself.
It is a huge percentage, which is telling me, I mean, clearly there's a trust and comfort level there if someone's willing to do that.
Well, and my wife is always there. She always has a robe standing right there for clients if they choose to do it. And I tell my clients during my initial consult, I'm like, look, if you choose to try it and it's not your thing, just speak up and say, hey, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm acutely aware of I'm a large individual. I still carry myself like a cop. I still walk like a cop. I'm very upright, broad. I'm, 6 foot, 240 pounds. I'm just a big dude.
Yeah.
Like I am acutely aware of that. Often in life, people have found me intimidating. I'm just a big goofball. I'm a big idiot. Like, I just like to have fun and make people laugh.
Yeah.
So I tell clients, I'm like, don't ever be afraid to speak up because you're not going to bother me one way or another.
Yeah.
All we're going to do is stop. We're going to hand you a robe, put your outfit back on, put top back on, whatever it may be if you try nudes, and then we go right back to what we're doing. I'm never going to look at you and be like, well, you said you were going to do this. I don't care. I want you to be happy. I want you to be comfortable, and I want you to have fun. And so when we do kind of where this started, when we do art nudes, my goal with an art nude is for you to look at it and see shapes and lines, and then realizing someone is nude in the image is secondary. It's not meant to be the primary, like, oh my God, they're naked. No, it's meant to capture lines, or like when we do bodyscapes where like I just lightly light the body, right? And you get the curvature or something like that of the hip, or, the ribs or something. It's way different than just being like, oh, I'm, just trying to be up in your business with a camera, and like, no. And so it really is neat, the trust level we build with people, right? And I think some people are surprised when I'm like, 95, 98% of my clients have tried some form, whether it's partial nudity or full. That says a lot about you guys,
you and Victoria. I do want to touch on one thing.
Yeah.
Back when you were talking about some of the awards you received and some of the titles, what are some of the names of the you belong to?
So the PPA, which is the Professional Photographers of America. So they're one of the largest, I think they are the largest professional photography body in the United States.
Okay.
And then the other one is the Association of International Boudoir Photographers.
So I just wanted to say one thing on that real quick, because I love how your approach has been so far. But what I do think is really important is you're starting to get recognized. And it doesn't seem like for you can see you're all in, but from an outsider, from a woman, the more recognition that you are starting to get is going to speak for itself for you. But, just after that, everything else that you've shared, you guys go above and beyond.
We try.
And it shows. I mean, I already knew that, but like even every detail that you're sharing right now is huge. You take it so seriously. This is like, it's not a side hustle.
No,
you are putting every single effort. And since I've known you, you don't stop in meaning that you are always learning something new. always trying to get better. Like you're connecting with some pretty big heavy hitters in the commercial, like you're making connections with them and putting yourself out there. Like you're in it. You are all in. You've got great support.
I'm actually going to Las Vegas the end of this month into March to it's WPPI, which I think it used to be like a wedding photographer related thing, but it's kind of grown into this huge industry event. It's been around for years, but they do once a year in Las Vegas. They basically have a week-long industry event. And so there's classes, there's photo walks, there's all the big brands are there. They have a showroom floor with equipment and things like that. And like, I'm intentionally going to network more. I became a brand ambassador for the company that builds my albums. So my album company is actually a small business that's owned by a husband and wife based in Canada, and they use a team of all women to hand build my albums for me. But our albums are hand built. And the leathers. So the reason I go with them, and after speaking with one of the co-owners of the business, the wife, she and I approach our businesses very similarly. We really believe in offering pretty much custom high-end stuff to clients, and we would rather do lower volume and be very high end than to do mass volume and reduce our quality. And so she handpicks Italian leathers. We've got like 70 different material options. We've got everything from black leather to like iridescent python skin and everything in between. So we have something for everybody, but that's kind of the thing. Like I reached out to them. I was like, I'd love to be an ambassador for you guys because we've worked together for so many years, and they agreed to take me on. And I'm still a relatively small person in the grand scheme of things. I've only been in business for a handful of years, but I feel like they saw something in the way I run my business. And so now we work together. I want to start teaching within the industry, and they're open to, and so is AIBP. I've been in talks with both of them about potentially starting to teach some too, because I want to share my knowledge. I love teaching. I was an instructor in law enforcement as well. So like, my goal is to continue to grow and continue to make those connections. I'm never satisfied with being just good enough. I always want to keep climbing that bar, or raising that bar and climbing that ladder. And it's not so much to go, oh, look at me, look how great I am. It's because I want to bring the absolute best of my abilities back to my clients. Anything worth doing is worth doing all the way. I don't believe in half-assing things. So if you're going to do it right. And for me, with my brand and my business, do it right. And so I want to bring the best possible experience I can.
And one, that's awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people like hearing that. But the other thing too is so specific to what you do, because this isn't like something that, you do once a year. I mean, maybe there are some women out there. Good. Awesome. That's great. But on average, it's a milestone. It's something big. It's something, and if you're going to do it and you're going to pay for it, like you want someone who's going to be willing to go 150% to make sure you're comfortable, you're happy, you're posing right, the lighting's right, and all the knowledge that you have taken so far and still growing to just maximize the best experience.
Yeah. And it's, I tell people, I've had people look at me and they go, "You're expensive." And I'm like, yeah, I am. And I'm not shy about that. I'm cheaper than some. I'm more expensive than others. But what you're getting is second to none. And the way, like, even like editing, right? I could go way in the weeds on editing and everybody's eyes are going to glaze over and they're going to be bored. But a lot of times let's back that up. I have learned to edit people's images the same way that magazines and commercial fashion photographers have. It's a lot of manual work. It is very time consuming. It is not easy. And I know a lot more about it. I don't know as much as some. I'm not by any means saying I'm an expert, but I have learned that I have a lot more knowledge in that realm than a lot of people do. And it's because I'm passionate about it. I enjoy retouching. I think it's a really cool thing to do. But my thing with retouching is presenting a polished version of yourself. All of my images, you have skin texture on your face. Like, human beings have skin texture. You're going to have skin texture. I submitted a comp image where you could see all the little individual hairs on her chest and like stomach and arms, and like, that's who she is. It's razor sharp and it's there. Like a lot of times you'll see where skin's over processed or people look plastic or they look fake. And like
all those little filters on all that.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, if you want to look like plastic, download Snapchat, save yourself a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking, there are photographers who like that heavier plastic look, and there's clients for that too. And I'm not knocking that. That is the great thing about artistry is we all get to make our choices. My choice is to try to provide commercial quality work to clients, and I strive for that. And the clients, I've had multiple clients come to me and they go, there's just something different. And they don't know what it is because they just see it and they're like, something's different. Yeah. But it's all those little pieces working together to create something that's different. Yeah. You know, I had a client back in 2024, the very end of 2024, and she told me, she goes, I've been searching for a photographer for months. She goes, I came across your stuff very early on. She goes, and I didn't want to shoot with a man. She goes, and I told myself I'm not going to shoot with a man. She goes, and I kept looking and I kept looking and I kept looking. She goes, and every time I kept coming back to your work. And she's like, and I went back and forth for about 3 months. And she goes, and I finally picked up the phone and called. That client has allowed me to put one of their images in an international image competition.
Oh my gosh.
So like to go from being nervous about working with a male photographer, looking for other people, and just kept coming. And to me, like, it made me feel good, right? That she felt that good about my work to keep coming back to it and going, I tried to find something else.
Yeah.
But something spoke to me, right? And it's funny because I always feel like there's a fine line between like being confident in what you do and like being kind of braggy.
Yeah.
And I try to ride that because like I don't want to brag about stuff because I you know, like in law enforcement, it took me a long time before I said I was really good at what I did. But I also realized there's a stage where like once you do understand what you're doing, you know you're good at, it's okay to say I'm good at something, right? And I feel like in this instance, I know I'm good at what I'm doing because it gives my clients the best experience possible. And again, it's so much for me. It's not about accolades for myself. It's about providing that experience for my client and seeing that transformation. Because again, at the end of the day, I don't shoot models. I don't shoot for magazines. I'm shooting regular everyday people and making them feel amazing. And that has been so cool. It's not something I ever thought I would be doing. If I joke all the time. I'm like, if you'd have asked me 6 years ago, if you'd have looked at me and said, hey, you're not going to be a cop anymore. You're going to have 4 kids. You're going to live in Pennsylvania and you're going to be a boudoir photographer. I'd have looked at you and told you were an idiot and walked the other direction, right? And now here I am. My life has made a complete 180. Yeah. And I couldn't imagine it any other way. And it's pretty wild doing this too, because like 3 of my stepkids are girls. Yeah. I have 3 daughters. They all know what I do. Yeah. And we talk about it and it's like, it's okay to feel beautiful. It's okay to have insecurities and still move through life, right? Like, you know, it's
what a crucial time too at their ages.
Yeah. And they're, you know, they're
to learn
all
that.
Yeah, now they're all like in their teen years basically, and there's days it's a roller coaster having girls, and you know, to go from no kids to 4 kids was like climbing on a bull. Yeah. But they have taught me so much about being a good human too. Yeah. You know, the patience. I was by far not a very patient human being, and I still lack patience in some areas, but they've taught me a lot about being patient. And so like having my kids and having girls and learning, you know, like, they cry about a lot of stuff. And like they cry when they're happy and they cry when they're sad and they cry to cry. And I'm like, I don't know why we're crying. I'm confused. But it has taught me so much patience. It's taught me humility in a lot of ways and like empathy, and like doing boudoir has taught me a lot of empathy. Right. And so like and empathy was an emotion I used to struggle with a lot, right? Like when you just see the worst of people all the time, it strips a lot of your empathy. You become numb, especially when you police a major city and you're answering 30 calls a night. You're going to 4 or 5, you know, fights with a weapon. You're going to all these crazy things. You get desensitized to a lot. Yeah. And again, I didn't realize it until I got out. But now, like, it really is so cool, the life that I've been lucky enough to build. And the people that I'm surrounded by, and the support that I have, and you know the you know, my girls are amazing. Like I you know, I know a lot of people love to make the differentiation. Oh, you know, they're my stepkids. Not, they're just my kids, right? Like they're my kids, and you know, I do this to provide for them and my family and do what I can. But like, it's amazing how all the pieces just kind of come together, and it's pretty wild. And
just in, you know, a few years, the complete difference. I mean, complete.
180.
You're probably one of the biggest 180, opposite.
Yep.
You would never expect this, but I love it.
Yeah, July will be 5 years that I've been here. June will be
That's
5 years that I've been
awesome.
in Pennsylvania, and I'm on my technically my 4th year of business.
Okay.
I formed my LLC in 2022.
Okay.
But I didn't really niche down into Boudoir until late 22 into the spring of 23. So, because that first, I formed my LLC in February of 22, and you're a business owner. The first 10 months was trying to get a
just
website
figuring
going.
it
Yeah,
out.
it's just
Yeah.
like it's trying to figure out where your feet are in
Yeah.
those days because you don't know which end is up when
Yeah.
you run a small business. But it took me a little while. So realistically, I didn't niche down into Boudoir specifically until about 23. So this
Okay.
is like year 3 of specifically doing this. And like people ask me, like, do you do headshots or do you do this? From time to time. Like
Sure.
I do headshots in limited situations, a lot of times for past clients, or, I've done them for businesses a couple times, but it's not my passion.
Yeah.
Boudoir is my passion.
Yeah.
And I have very much in life found that I would much rather niche down and master one thing than be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yep.
I'd rather find technical mastery in one area.
Yeah.
And that allows me to, one of the big things I always tell people when they're shopping for a boudoir photographer, there's a lot of photographers who happen to offer boudoir. There's not a lot of boudoir photographers. And specifically. And typically we tend to be more expensive. But we have a mastery in a certain area, right? I joke all the time. I have the skill sets to shoot a wedding. I am not a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
If you took my work and put it up against someone who's shot nothing but weddings for a decade,
Clearly
you're going to
there's
see the
difference.
difference. It's the same coming to specifically a boudoir photographer. If I were shooting 80% of the time shooting weddings, 10% of the time doing headshots, 5% of the time doing families, well, that only leaves me 5% of my time to learn how to do boudoir.
Yeah.
I dump 100% of my time into boudoir.
And it shows.
Thank you.
So you brought up that 5 years you've been here. So I'm just going to dive into this real quick. So you're based in Chester County. That's why I have you here.
I am.
I'm sure there's a difference. I want to know what you think about having a business in Chester County.
Honestly, I love it here. People, one of their big questions is always like, oh, coming from the South, is it so weird? I'm a very direct and very blunt human being, and I have been pretty much my whole life. I think I can even remember at like 15 years old telling people there's 6 billion people on the face of the earth, because that's how many people were there now. It's like 8. And I was like, I am who I am. I don't care if some people don't like me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be mean. It's just I am authentically me. I'm not going to be everybody's best friend, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not everybody's business fit. You're not everybody's business fit. It's just life, right?
Right.
So I made a point to live very directly from a young age.
Okay.
And so I found that most of my best friends back home were all from the Northeast. I've dated a couple women from the Northeast.
out.
My best friend in the police academy was from Boston. Another one of my really close friends in the police academy was from Jersey. So
wow.
I've always meshed better with the Northeast because I'm just very direct. I will not look at you and be like,
We keep it real
Yeah, I
around
won't be
here.
like, oh, bless your heart. I'll be like, hey, stop being stupid. And so like the South, I was a little too blunt sometimes. The only real, I guess, shock here when I moved from the South to here is customer service is not the best up here a lot of times.
Oh.
And people tend to talk at people, not to people.
Interesting.
That's probably my 2 little critiques of the area. Someone will probably try to kill me for that, but it is.
Hey, you are who you are.
Yep. But it is, I've loved it. Chester County's
Yeah.
amazing. It's beautiful. The people, I think so many people, especially like coming from the South, it's funny because a lot of people from the North think all of us in the South are stupid, and everyone in the
I don't
South,
think that.
and then everyone in the South thinks everybody in the North's an a-hole. And it's,
Yep.
yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. and it does come off that way, but realistically, we're pretty similar in a lot of ways. And I think it's just, I think if you're a good human being, you're a good human being.
Yeah.
If you're a POS, you're a POS.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
like coming here, like my wife laughed when I first moved in. I would disappear for like an hour, and she'd look outside and I'd be standing in the mailbox talking to the neighbors. And she's like, what were you? I was like, I was just meeting the neighbors and talking to people.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want me to talk to you, don't look at me.
Yeah.
I love to talk to people.
Yeah.
So like, I've found like Chester County's been wonderful. People have been nice. People
Pretty
have been
welcoming.
inviting. It's a welcoming area. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful area.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different things in Chester County, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go from Glenmore where you blink and it's gone. You've got Westchester. You get closer to the main line with stuff. It's
Yeah.
different. So you have so many different types of people.
Yeah.
You have so many different walks of life. Chester County obviously is one of the, if not the, most affluent county in the state.
Yeah.
And probably one of the ones in the country.
Yes.
So it's very interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, and like It's funny, I parallel some of it to where I grew up. I grew up about an hour south of Atlanta, and I grew up about 20 minutes away from a little city called Peachtree City in Georgia, which Peachtree City was it started out as like a planned retirement community for Delta pilots. So it was extremely affluent. So most people there were pilots, they were doctors, they were lawyers, a lot of like this. So you would drive around Peachtree City, and the BMW 3 Series was the Honda Civic of cars, right? Like everybody and their brother had one. So, and it's kind of like that when you go towards the main line, right?
Yeah.
You get all these crazy, I'm a big car guy. So like, you get all these crazy cars that you wouldn't see anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
You get these insane vehicles. But then you get out to the country edge, like where I'm at, and it's farm trucks and cow pastures, right? So it's
all encompassed in one county.
In one county. So it feels like home.
Okay.
I love it here.
That's
I've
awesome.
met wonderful people. I've made some great friends. It's hard to make friends when you first move from somewhere that you don't know, or move to somewhere you don't know, and then you start all business based out of your home. You're like, I don't know anybody, right?
Yeah.
But I've been networking and doing networking groups for a couple of years, and making some friends at car stuff and things like that. And so like my friendships have grown, and you know, it really is. Chester County is a cool spot. It's got some neat history. I'm a big history nerd too. So like
there's definitely a lot of history here.
I love doing history. I love just learning and experiencing things. And, hell, I was this is a funny note. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I was my township's auditor for like 2 years here.
No. You did not tell me that.
Yeah, I wrote my name in on a ballot. It was like, let's see. Didn't think anything was going to happen. Got a letter in the mail.
You got to be careful with that.
Yeah, I'm not anymore. I'm no longer the auditor, but I literally got a letter. It was like, you've been elected. And I was like, oh God, what'd I do?
Oh my gosh. That must have been an experience.
Well, funny enough, it was kind of a ghost position. So they actually hire an outside agency. So it was pretty much just a position and name only.
Okay.
So luckily I didn't really have to do anything, because I called him and I was like, look, I got 4 kids, 2 businesses. Like, I messed up.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, you idiot. Why did you write
That's really funny.
What's even funnier, my neighbor also wrote himself in. So I beat my neighbor. And I was like, we were the 2 idiots that wrote our names on that line, aren't we?
That's hilarious.
Like, so, but hey, the little itty bitty township, it happened. It was funny. So I get to joke that, I was an elected official, but not really.
Gosh, that's
but
so great.
Yeah, it's been fun being here.
Yeah.
I've learned to just enjoy life, roll with the punches, and have a good time.
And I like the fact it's really fun to ask somebody who hasn't grown up here. I'm born and raised. I know a ton of people, a lot of business owners that I brought in. But it's really cool to have somebody who can have a different perspective. And I like that you touched on just how different it is within one county.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things that blew my mind when I first moved up here was seeing a horse and buggy for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I freaked out.
Yeah,
like
it's real.
I literally called Victoria and I was like, oh my God, they're real. Like I took a video of it. Like I was sitting in a red light, like and one ran by. Like I'd just come off. It was actually just outside of Chester County, because the first time I ever drove up here, I basically came in through like Blue Ball and down.
Yeah.
But I saw one go by and I literally was sending messages to people back home. I was like, holy crap, it's real. Oh my God. And so like I know people who grew up in Chester and Lancaster. And I know I pronounced that wrong, but whatever. I'm going to pronounce my letters.
Fine.
You get used to it, right? You get used to what you see. So like being an outsider and seeing a horse and buggy, I still get enamored when I see it. I'm like, holy crap, there's a horse and buggy going down the road. Like, right? Like, and I know for some people, they're probably like, can this damn thing move, please? And like, for me, it's like, or I said to my wife this morning, I was like, we've had snow on the ground for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And like in Atlanta, we'd get ice. We'd get some snow here and there, but it's gone in a couple of days. I've never lived somewhere where I've had snow on the ground for 2 weeks. And so like, and I know a lot of people up here are like, oh my God, I'm so sick of it.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, but like I look at it in the morning and I look out the window and I'm still enamored by how beautiful it is. I think a lot of people who have lived here don't realize how absolutely stunning Chester County is. And Pennsylvania for that matter. Like, you know, when I came in the first time, I'd been to Philly a couple times when I was younger, but coming in kind of more the west side of the state when I decided to drive up here because I didn't want to pay all the tolls, so I went in the back way. Seeing the farmland and coming through the backside into Chester, it is an absolutely stunning state and county. Like I love driving around out here and just seeing, you know, we're near Marsh Creek. So, you know, it's pretty out there, but it is an absolutely stunning county. And then the history, you know, the colonial era homes, like there's so much. And like I said, when you grow up somewhere, you take it for granted, right? I'm sure there's things about the metro Atlanta area that I took for granted growing up in, but being an outsider and coming and getting to see 300-year-old houses and getting to, see all of the different things and understanding the gravity of like our founding fathers and the areas up here and stuff. It's a really cool area. Yeah. There's so much here. So I think when people like, I laugh like on Facebook, I see people like Pennsylvania sucks. And I'm like, it really doesn't though. No. Like it's what you make of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's anywhere. And I think people forget that life is what you make it. And so like being here and being an outsider coming in, and it's funny because back home, nobody thinks I have an accent. Everybody's like, where are you from? Because you don't sound like you're from here. First time I'm going to make a shameless plug for my barber. I go to Shaving Grace Barbers in Exton.
Love it.
And the first time I sat down in the chair, my barber went, where are you from? Because you're not from here. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because I'd been told for so long, you don't have an accent. As soon as I sat down, my barber's like, yeah, you're not from here. Where are you from?
Yeah.
And I've gone to the same barber for almost 5 years now. But it just... it's funny to like, you get that directness, right?
Yep.
Like in the South, some people probably wouldn't have said that. Here, and then people are like, you're not from here. Where are you from?
Yeah.
But it's always been welcoming. It's always been inviting.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever treated me like an outsider or anything. It's just like, cool. And
I
think so much of it is like we go back to at the very beginning. It's authenticity. If you are who you are and you're just authentic and I don't try to make people's lives harder. I had people that hated me for existing for a job that I did. I did customer service before that and been, had a lot of people not treat me well as a valet and working retail and things like that. So like, I very much live my life of not trying to make things harder for most people because we all are dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
We all have rough days. I just, and I have, don't get me wrong, I have my rough days too, but like, I just try to be happy and make other people around me happy. And
sounds like you're doing a good job.
Yeah,
I
think I'm doing okay.
2 more questions.
Okay.
And I'll ask both because I think they kind of coincide. What's your realm? Like, who would you say, like, who normally reaches out to you? Like, you dabbled. You kind of said, an age group. But, like, other things. Like, you mentioned if somebody loses 100 pounds. Like, I want you to share that. And then... the last thing I want you to share is if you can think about the most impactful experience you had with your job with the client. And it can be either to you or to the client, but I'm so curious about that.
So kind of like I touched on before, realistically, solidly, my clientele is pretty much moms from 30 to 50.
Okay.
That is my...
and like, what do they normally, what's their reason?
It depends. I get a pretty wide range.
Okay.
Some women do it as an anniversary present. Some people are doing it, I don't really, I've found I don't attract a lot of like the divorcee crowd.
Okay.
Like some women specifically seek it out to do after a divorce and feel good. And I know photographers who even kind of lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I have shot women that are celebrating afterwards, but that's not my average client.
Yeah.
Most of my clients are moms, possibly business owners. But a lot of times it's either initially I get the call, they'll be like, oh, I want to do this as an anniversary gift. And I tell them, I'm like, you think it's a gift for your husband? It's a gift for you. Your husband happens to benefit from something at the end of it. I was like, but I promise you by the end of the session, you will realize this is a gift to yourself more than it is to them. And I had one client, she came in and originally was just going to plan on doing something small to give her husband. She bought herself a bunch of stuff and gave her something very small.
Her.
And it was that she saw herself in a new way, right? So I've had women that are celebrating milestones like huge weight loss. I had a woman come and celebrate her 50th birthday.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And she shot with me for that. So birthdays, but a lot of times it's just women who have thought about it and they, they're like, oh, I'm not getting any younger. I'd like to maybe do something or that. Oh, I've been working out and like, I feel good. And so it's kind of not any just one real narrowed down reason. It's kind of a multitude of things.
It's interesting to me though, because for me, my first thought would be a bride.
Yep. And I do get a lot of brides. This past year, I got a bunch of brides.
Because I was going to say, I'm thinking brides that like, oh, this is a gift to the groom, or, essentially for themselves too. But anyway, the concept, but it's really neat that it goes so far beyond that and this other group. Mm-hmm. And I think, I can see that, like some women thinking, I've always wanted to do it,
Well,
why not now?
And I think too, one of the cool things, at least with my business and with my wife and I, like I'm about to be 40, my wife is going to be 45 this year, so she's 44. She's got 4 kids, right? We've kind of lived life quite a bit, right? I'm not 25 trying to connect with someone in their late 30s to early 40s. I'm at that same age bracket, so I think a lot of our clientele, we're able to relate in a very different way.
Yeah.
We can relate to a lot of life experiences, you know, understanding those, you know, if I were 25 years old doing this, trying to talk to someone who's 45 about the struggles of life, am I really going to be able to connect that well? Probably not. Like, don't get me wrong. Plenty of people have struggles by this point, but you've lived a lot of life between 25 and 40, right? And so I think that's part of why we attract the client demographic we do, because we connect, we're so authentic on it. And yes, I get younger clients, but I think that 30 to like 50 bracket, it's just, there's so much
happening, change.
There's a lot of change, and we've lived that change. We've navigated that change. You know, my wife will talk with people about their kids. You know, and we'll chat back and forth about it. You know, I've done consultations with moms that like literally they've got a newborn that they're sitting there dealing with. I had one client that literally like had to breastfeed during a consult, right? And my wife loves babies. She's had 4 kids, so she's like, oh my God, baby, right? And like, and for me, I'm like, cool, like this is life, right? Like, so it's really neat. I do get a bunch of brides. 2025, I got a lot more brides than I had the year before. So it is definitely a bridal gift. I'm actually working a bridal show this weekend in Philadelphia.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So it does make a great wedding gift. So, but I've found I don't just specifically target brides, or I don't just specifically, it's kind of like, for me, it's people that want to treat themselves. It's more about doing something great for you. I've had husbands that have inquired and been like, oh, I've thought about doing this for my wife or getting her a shoot. And if there's any husbands watching this that like, you're like, oh my God, I'd love to get my wife a shoot, make sure your wife is okay with it. And what I mean by that is it's a very personal thing. It is a very intimate thing. It is a very vulnerable thing. There's a ton of vulnerability in this. And you want to make sure that they are on board too. You don't want them to feel pressured to have to come to a shoot.
Exactly.
Or you don't want to buy a gift certificate and then them never use it because they're not ready. So I always advise husbands, I'm like,
have the conversation.
Have the conversation. Like, I know you want to surprise them. This is better off if they kind of know. They you know, they may not realize that the experience it is, but at least make sure y'all are both on the same page. Because I don't ever want a client to come and feel like they're being pressured by someone to do this. But I also don't want someone to just spend their money and then them never use it either. So it's like, have that conversation. But yeah, so it's pretty wild. I don't have one direct like why they're doing it. I just kind of have more of an age bracket that does it. But it's usually for a lot of different reasons. And it's always fun because I get to
something different.
And we spend enough time with them throughout the day that we get to know them and understand why and what they're doing. Again, it's not, you know, 30 minutes of having makeup slapped on, an hour of shooting and see you bye. Like, we're getting to know people. So it's pretty cool. And then I know, sorry, ADD is kicking in. The second half of your question.
Just if you have something that was, and you can share both if you want, but one shoot that or person that really sticks out, really impactful for you, that maybe really kind of was an aha moment that shifted your career, so or a client.
There's been a couple, I guess I could say. For a client who really shifted stuff, she'd come in, she was turning 30. And her mom helped her kind of do it as a gift for herself. She was shy, very sweet girl, very pretty girl, but very shy. And she shot with us and she fell in love with how she felt and what it was. And that particular client actually came back 2 or 3 more times to help me when I wanted to like test things or figure things out. Like, look, you know, I'm, you know, getting a new piece of body jewelry or I want to maybe test for an image for a competition or something. She actually became the person that I could call and she would be like, yeah, I'll come. And she would come spend the day with us and let me practice and work. And it was no longer, you know, it wasn't a coordinated shoot. Now it was experimentation. So a lot of times that's slower because you're working out kinks and everything else. But we built a really good friendship, right? And like seeing how much it impacted her and how much it uplifted her, like, it was really cool. And she was a very early on client.
Yeah.
So like I laugh, I look back on it now and I'm like, wow, my work has progressed so much since then.
Yeah.
But to even see in the early stages of my work how much that impacted her and how much it carried through, like she's now moved across the country and we still will send her a text message every once in a while and see how she's doing.
I love
right.
that.
So like that was a really neat early on experience because it allowed me to grow. I got to see the impact on someone else. And she was just such a genuinely wonderful person.
Yeah.
And I've had a handful of clients who have been just such amazingly kind, genuine, sweet human beings that have now become interweaved in my personal life as friends. And like, it's incredible. It's incredible to go, and like, it's never awkward, right? Like some people would think like, oh my God, you've been their boudoir photographer. You've seen Nick. No one cares.
Yeah.
We don't care. It never gets brought up, right? Like there's one woman who shot with me a couple times and I remember we saw her out in public and her boyfriend was with her and she was like, these are the people that take my pictures. And he was like, you could just tell he was like,
it's a little bit different.
He's like, what do I do? And she just like,
like, hey guys, like just natural.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's that. And then I would say another really impactful moment was like the first time I watched someone cry tears of joy. That was pretty wild, right? Like that's when I realized it's a lot more than just photography, right? It is seeing someone like break down an ugly cry because they haven't ever felt themselves seen themselves and felt that beautiful before. It's a lot. It's incredible. I tell people, a lot of people try to get into boudoir and I've told male photographers this, I've told female photographers this that have come to me. I'm like, you have to make sure you're in this for the right reasons. Yeah. You're not there to just take pretty pictures of somebody. The photography element is important. The mental care that you're doing for your client is way more important. Yeah. That means so much more. Yeah. And so for me, I think realizing that the artwork is important, but the care that you have your client is an even bigger deal. Yep. Has done a lot for me. It's shifted a lot. And so I think seeing someone break down in tears the first time really drove that home. Yeah. And it's incredible. And, and I get clients, not everybody cries, but I get a fair number that do. Yep. But even just like I said, I get the text messages, right? A week later. Cause my business, I have a business cell phone and I tell clients, you're more than welcome to text me. Yep. Right. Like, cause I know for some people it's just easier. And I tell them like, you text me at midnight, I'm not replying to you until the next business day, but I have a way for them to directly communicate with me. So a lot of my clients will text me like a week later and they'll just be like, wow, I'm still riding the high. I'm still feeling like $1 million after this. And, and I've learned a lot doing this, right? My wife is, I don't care, I'm gonna put her business out there. She's going through like perimenopause. She's at that age, right? And so I get a lot of clients who have dealt with perimenopause or menopause and they don't feel comfortable in their skin. They don't like themselves. They don't like the air being air that day, right? Like it is just, And so it's really interesting. And again, the age demographic we have, my wife going through it, it's another thing they connect on. If we were both 25, is my wife going to be able to connect with a 40-year-old mom going through perimenopause? No, she's not.
Not too much.
So it really is like it's a unique stage that we're in to be able to provide. We can talk to our younger clients because we've lived that. Yep. We can talk to our clients that are in their 40s and 50s up to 60 because you're
still kind of in that.
Yeah. So it gives us a really neat ability to kind of go both directions. Yeah. And, I think those are the big impacts. When I first started this, I won't lie, I almost quit early on. I think
we all do that in the beginning of our business.
And there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of pushback initially, right? Like, especially, I can remember when I would first start, if anybody watching this on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen me in local community groups. And, when I first started, I got a lot of pushback from people. I would get guys making really nasty comments, and it was disheartening, but I understood, again, we all know a creepy guy with a camera, right? And even getting other like women within the industry to take me seriously, it was not easy in the beginning because there have been bad actors, right? And it sucks, but it's the reality of life. So, but it was that perseverance. There were days when I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this, and I've also been someone as a throughout life, I've always worked my butt off and climbed up quickly in things. So to be a business owner and you're having to do all the little pieces, and then it's a waiting game too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it takes time to build a reputation.
It's a little
it takes
bit of
time
a crawl.
It's a crawl in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? And like I tell people, that first year, it felt like I had my shoulder against a boulder and was just pushing every day and nothing moved.
Yeah.
And then the boulder finally started rolling, and now it's picked up, and now I have the inquiries, and I want to be busier than I am, but I'm still busy, right?
Yeah.
But I also am not a volume studio. I tell people I shoot 4 to 5 women a month.
Yep.
I am intentionally low volume so that I can give you a very, very personal experience.
Exactly.
So I shoot less than 50 women a year, essentially. And
Yeah.
then the 48 to 60 women a year. That's really all I do.
But you're certainly keeping yourself busy.
I am.
With all the other time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and trust me, even though I may not be shooting, those other 4 days out of the week, I'm editing, I'm doing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of back end work
Yeah.
to it, but it is intentionally designed to give someone a very custom experience.
Yeah.
I tell clients all the time, I don't ever want someone to feel like a number. I've been in places where I've been charged a lot of money and the customer service
you're
was not
just-
great, and you just felt like another number.
Yep.
I don't want my clients to ever feel like that. And a lot of my clients are my friends, so they're
Yeah.
not numbers, right?
Yeah.
So it has been so neat, and I've met people from so many different walks of life who've had so many different experiences. I've met people who are in recovery. I've met people who are in the military,
Yeah.
first responders. Oddly enough, I don't directly advertise to military and first responders. I get a lot of military and first responder clients. Well, I always say your people find you.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I talked to another boudoir photographer that she dealt with and survived through an eating disorder. And
Yeah.
a lot of her clients are recovering from eating
gravitate.
disorders. And they gravitate to her. And I was like, you can provide them a service that I can't.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, just like you couldn't provide a first responder a service that I can. I can rib first responders in ways that most people can't, because I've been there, I've seen it, I know what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of your military and first responder clients that I get, they don't get a chance to be pretty every day, right?
Yeah.
They have regulations on hair. They have regulations on makeup. They have regulations on nails. They're in a uniform. So they're used to being very toned down every
Yep.
day. So they get to come to us, and it's like a whole day of
Whole
just
different
getting-
experience.
Victoria says you get to be her Barbie doll for the day.
Yeah.
She gets to do your hair. She gets to do your makeup.
Yeah.
She gets to pose you. We give wardrobe guidance. We do a wardrobe consultation. We do a try-on session.
Yeah.
We're with our clients every step of this process. We
Yeah.
don't just go, hey, cool initial consultation, we'll see you in a month.
Yeah.
We're helping you pick your outfits. We're helping you, try things on and make sure stuff fits. We're
Incredible.
we really want to cater all the way through, because that's part of the experience.
Yes.
And,
you're full service.
full service
So,
from end to end.
for anyone listening, watching, this is the most important thing to me that I hope everyone truly hears. I know a little bit about your business. We know each other already. You obviously dove into it much deeper today. And to me, the most important thing that I hope everyone hears is that the impact that you have, you take your business so seriously, and the impact you have, and seeing the reaction to these, how happy they are with your service, it goes way beyond that. I am so curious, I guarantee that a lot of those people that have gone through that with you and they see themselves in a whole new light, it can actually change them in the future. How they see themselves all of a sudden, they're going to hold their chin up a little bit higher. They're going to have a little bit more confidence, because once you get to that point that you're trying to help them get to, or just it naturally happens during the process of really seeing themselves as they truly are and feeling good about it, that's everything.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, things aren't as easy or as difficult. They're not as hard anymore. You're going to carry yourself differently. So not only are you creating beautiful work and giving great service, you're really impacting their lives.
Yeah. And that's where my line, and I really, this is the first place I've said it publicly, because I've been playing with it, but it was settling on a slogan of impacting lives through art.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm doing. I'm impacting people's lives through artwork.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the power of art. Whether that's music, whether that's drawing, whether that's photography, we all feel something tied to some form of art.
Sure.
I mean, I think most of us can think of songs in our lives that talk to chapters of our lives, or that we can put on and instantly lift our moods. Or, you know, we have the songs when we're having a really hard day that we listen to that speaks to the pain that we're dealing with, right? Art influences our lives in every aspect. And, you know, there's a commercial photographer who's extremely successful that was an inspiration when I started this, seeing a lot of his work. And he said something one time that really reframed how I think about photography. Because a lot of people go, oh, I'm a photographer. He's like, I'm an artist who uses a camera as a tool. He's like, photography is his medium of art, but he is an artist. He's not a photographer. He's like, I use a camera, I use Photoshop, I use things to build art. And so my thing is, I tell people, my intention is to build you individual works of art that stand the test of time. I don't want to do whatever today's cheesy filter is, or I don't want to give you 70 images that you're just like, I would rather give you 20 or 25 highly focused images that are something that 5 years from now you can open up and go, wow, these are still beautiful. That you don't, you know, because every artist, every art genre has trends too, right? And one year it may be this super bright or super pastel-y, and the next year it may be caramel tones and this, but then there's certain things that just kind of manage to stand that test of time, right? And so like, that's why a lot of my tones are more true to life colors and things like that, because I want these to be something that down the road you open up that book and go, wow. You know, and my wife always jokes, like, we offer wall art, and she goes, you know, you can put it hanging up in your bathroom, and so the day you feel like a potato, you can walk in there and look at it and go, but I am bad, right? Like, because we all have those days. We all have those days where you're just like, ugh, I feel gross, right? Or I don't feel attractive, and then you can open that up and look at it and go, but I am.
It's really smart.
Yeah, it can continue to be its own little confidence boost over time, you know, and like. Some people, I offer like digital packages, but really my big things are physical products. A lot of my clients I found here, like I have some friends, they sell almost no physical products. Like people just don't want it. My clients tend to want physical products. And so that's why my albums.
They're ready to put it on display.
Yep. And you know, it's funny. I've had people buy a lot of wall art, and like some people don't. And I get it. Some people are like, you know what? I just want it in the album. I don't want the wall art pieces. And I get that. I'm a little more reserved with certain things, so I can get that. Right. But I've had clients who are like, nah, I want this in a 24 by 36 and slap it behind my couch. And I'm like, cool, girl, you do you. Right. So it really is neat to see the impact I can have on someone's life.
Yeah, it's huge.
And I take that really seriously.
Clearly.
You know, I don't take what I do lightly, because, you know, and that's one of the things when someone comes to me, I'm like, you can make or break how someone feels about themselves. I've had someone, I met a woman at a cheer competition, actually, that my two middle girls are in cheer, and we talked to her, and she found out what my wife and I do, and she literally almost came to tears over a bad boudoir shoot she'd had 5 years earlier. 5 years later, and still would come to tears talking about it. And I'm like, that's the thing. Like, and so that's when people ask me about this and want to get into it, I'm like, you have to make sure you are here for the right reasons. You have to understand the care that you need to provide your clients and take what you're doing seriously. It's not just about making money. Yes, I need to make money to pay my bills.
Sure.
But there's a lot of care. And so I am very serious about how I handle my clients and what I do with them, because I don't want them to be unhappy. I don't want to be unhappy. You know, I did a couple shoot with my wife. It was a lot of fun. I went and did some test shoots with a friend of mine. I pulled like a Kramer on a couch, right? Like I didn't, or not Kramer, George Costanza, like on the couch, right?
That's so funny.
And like, it's hilarious. And men can do it. Couples can do it. You know, we've had couple sessions before.
That's cool.
Like, it's not just women, but 99% of the time it's women. And so, you know, it really is it's a beautiful thing. It's I mean, I could probably rave about this forever, but it's a wonderful thing.
So, John, how can people find you?
So my website is JWTIV, like the Roman numeral 4, photo.com. Okay. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I do have a TikTok, which is also JWTIV photo.
Okay.
Oddly enough, I was complaining about the cold for a cheer competition on Sunday on a TikTok video, and it just got like 14,000 views in the last like 36 hours. I was like, oh, okay. So cheer comps, I guess. So why not?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I have an Instagram, which is also JWTIV photo. I don't put a ton of my photo work on Instagram because the filters of Instagram sometimes will flag you and sometimes they won't. They won't make you presentable. Yeah. So some of my work is there, but I've got a lot of videos there of like teaching people how to operate their cameras, right? Because again, I like to teach. So, and you know, and someone's like, oh, "Oh, are you just targeting photographers?" I was like, "Look, I know photographers and hobbyists that are still I've shot other boudoir photographers have hired me to do their boudoir images.
Yeah.
So I've shot other photographers multiple times. So I'm like, no, I'm just sharing knowledge, right? So, but I also run a women's only Facebook group.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. If you just search, I think it's Boudoir by John W Thompson IV, because I have a really regal sounding name. I'm not, but my name is. But I run a women's only Facebook group. I've got about 1,000 women in there.
That's awesome.
We do like a morning inspirational post, like a daily affirmation. I post some of my work in there. There's usually a meme in there.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a wide range of stuff. Everything from, introspective to funny to, we have an after dark question that, tiptoes that line a little bit. And some people participate, some people don't. We do like monthly prize giveaways. I give away like makeup palettes and like wristlets. A couple times a year I do bigger giveaways. I've given away like a boo basket. I've done a tattoo gift card. One year I think I did like a Michael Kors purse. So like we do stuff in there, but I keep it women only so that my clients and potentially future clients have a space that they feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
Because, I've had clients who have shared their own images from sessions in there, and I just don't want Joe Blow and everybody else in there rummaging through everything. Yeah. So my only 2 rules in my group is we don't discuss religion or politics.
Yeah.
And my 3rd rule is you treat everybody like another human.
Yeah.
The people in my group, we've got a wide range of people from all kinds of backgrounds and all kinds of beliefs, and everyone gets along. Everyone treats each other with respect. Everybody's polite. We've had a lot of our group members actually become friends outside of the group.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've got people from all over. I've got people from the Philly area, Georgia, back from where I'm home. I actually had a client she's from New Zealand. She flew in from New Zealand this summer to shoot with me, and she's in my group.
Oh, wow.
So I've got international clients. One so far. But yeah.
But you can say it now.
Yeah, but I can say it.
Yeah,
I can say it.
official.
I have an international client. It's official. But that group is super cool. So that's another great way to kind of connect with my business.
Yeah.
And
Smart, really smart.
I've had several clients that have booked with me that have come out of that group that are like, I've been a member of your group for 6 months or 8 months, and now I feel like I know you guys, because it gives you a chance to see our personality and what we find funny and the questions and how we answer stuff. So it is a great way that if you're kind of on the fence, to at least come and kind of learn about us and who we are and what we offer.
It's a really good idea.
So it's a lot of fun. But my website is the best way to get in contact with me. It's where a lot of my work is. Yeah. I don't put any of my art nudes online just because you can deal
We're in America?
Yeah, you can deal with search engine suppression, but typically during my consult, like if a client wants to see some of the art nude work, I'll share the screen and share that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's the easiest way. And then, once you become a client, you're welcome to text me too. So
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love that you guys, your life is a complete 180. You love what you do. It clearly shows. So.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.